Hey guys, this is your quiz number 3 for intermediate algebra, which will serve as your practice exam for exam 3. So let's go ahead and get started. I have the quiz pulled up, and for some of these I will be on my paper, and other ones I won't. And also understand that the order that you see yours most likely will be different than the order that mine are in. I have it set up so that the order is random for everybody. But the same type questions will be there. So my problem number 1 is here. And here we have this function. Remember, the x values are what we call the domain, the y values are what we call the range. So this 5 right here is an x equals 5, not a y equals 5. So we're here. And when x equals 5, what is y going to equal? In this case, 53. My number 2 is here. And for this, I'm going to switch to my other camera. So for number 2, we have f of x equals x squared plus 6x. G of x equals x plus 7. Part A says we're going to composite f, composite g of x. Meaning I'm going to put g into the function f. And what I mean by that is I'm going to put that x plus 7 into there and there. And I'm going to stop there for an answer, and I will accept this, and so will your online homework system or quiz system. If you know how to properly FOIL that out, you can FOIL that out, distribute, combine your like terms, and so on. But it's not necessary for me. Part B is G composite f of x. This means I'm going to be putting the function f of x inside the function g. So I'm now going to take all of that and I'm going to put it into there. And I don't have any like terms to combine, so I'm just going to stop there. And I'm going to put part C here, which is f composite f of x. This is going to be the weirdest looking one. What I'm going to do is replace that x with all of that, and that x also with all of that. It's going to look weird. And that is it. Part D. This is going to be the simplest one. I'm going to composite G with itself. So I'm going to be taking that and replacing that. So little word, probably going to be one of the more difficult ones. You'll have to study that quite a bit more, most likely. This is sort of a new concept, most likely, for most of you. Number 3, I'm also going to keep on this camera. We have two functions, f of x and g of x. And the first one says take f plus g of x. And what that's going to mean for us is this is f of x. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me rewrite that. F plus g, I forgot, we're going to evaluate this at a value. So this means f of -1 plus g of -1. Meaning I'm going to evaluate f when x equals -1 here and here. Same with g. And when I get those results, I'm going to add them together. Let's scoot that up a little bit. That is going to give me -1 squared minus 9 times -1 plus 20 plus -1 minus 5. Make sure you follow your order of operations. Remember, a negative squared becomes a positive. Negative times a negative becomes plus. -1 plus -5 is -6. We are. Part 2. Says that we're going to have f minus g of, and we're evaluating this one at -4. Meaning I'm going to evaluate the function f when x equals -4, so that will be there and there, and g at -4, which is there. And then I'm going to subtract. We want to be really careful when we're subtracting. We often end up with a double negative, so we got to be real careful. And here's that double negative I was talking about. Just be careful. It doesn't always happen, but it does happen sometimes. Part 3 says we're going to take f times g and evaluate it at -4, I'm sorry, 0. That. I like this because 0 makes everything kind of drop out. 0 squared is 9 times 0 plus 20. Which gives us 20 times -5, which is -100. Squeeze part 4 down here. And we have f divided by g of 4. So again, I'm going to evaluate when 4 here, and also there, and then divide the 2. But that worked out well. And next up, I'm going to switch screens again. Here we are for question 4. And again, your order might be different than mine. So this 3 right here, that is an x value. So I'm going to go where x equals 3. That's x equals 3. Well, what's y when x equals 3? I'm up here at 2. See that? So my answer is 2. That simple. So for number 5, we're going to do something called the vertical line test. This means every vertical line can only hit the graph one time for it to be a function. If it hits it more than one time, it's no longer considered a function. So this one, every vertical line, and I don't just mean the lines on the grid, I mean every vertical line should hit this line one time for every vertical line, and it does. One time, one time, and so on. This horizontal line is definitely going to pass. It's going to hit every vertical line, all of them. It is also a function. This one is also, now it looks close, but you can see it's only going to hit one time here. One time, and so on for every one of these. So that is also a function. Now this next one is not. You can see it only hits it one time here, that's fine. But here you can see 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Not a function, you're done. This circle also. You can see it's at 1 time, 2 times. So if any vertical line touches the graph more than once, not a function. My sine wave here, you can see it passes 1 time, 1 time, 1 time, 1 time. It always is crossing, every vertical line is crossing 1 time and not more than once. All right. So now I'm going to switch back to the other screen. All right. This is my number 7. I got rid of number 6. So we have a function f of x equals 5 times the absolute value of x minus 8. And we're going to evaluate this at several times. So the first part, we're going to find f of 0. Now, 0 minus 8, notice we have absolute value. 0 minus 8 is just negative 8. But when you take the absolute value of negative 8, that becomes positive 8. Which gives me a positive 40. Next up, we have f of 2, meaning I'm going to replace the x with a 2. Two minus 8 is negative 6. Absolute value of negative 6, positive 6. So treat the absolute value sort of as its own kind of separate thing. Next up, we have f of negative 2, which means I'm going to replace the x with a negative 2. Negative 2 minus 8 is negative. Absolute value of negative 10 is a positive 10. Part 4, f of x plus 1. Now that means I'm going to replace that x with x plus 1. And that's it. Can't go any further. We don't have any specific numbers to work with. Last part. This means I'm now going to replace this x with x squared plus 2. Notice the last two still have absolute value in it and x is in it, which is fun. I'm going to switch screens again. Question 8, we have a graph here. This is actually part of a graph of something called an ellipse. And we are going to write the range it wants to know. Range, again, has to do with y values. So the domain would be negative 6 to 2, but we're not interested in that. We're interested in up and down. So the low point is negative 1. It goes up to 2 over here. So negative 1 to 2, including negative 1, solid dot, and including 2. So that's going to be with, now if you click on interval, they have the brackets there for you already. So once again, negative 1, comma, and it goes up to positive 2. There it is. Last question. Domain, once again, has to do with x values. And I'm going to look here. Every x value is negative 5. So the domain in this case is just negative 5. That's it. The range, however, are all of the y values. 7, 6, 5, and 4. I'm going to put those in order. 4, comma, 5, comma, 6, comma, 7. Then they ask, is it a function? If we were to graph these would be dots all in a straight vertical line. That violates the vertical line test. This is definitely not a function. And that, my friends, is it. Good luck on your test.